guys! Welcome back to Wheeling to Dream. This week's video is a little bit different than what you've seen recently. We are doing a bit of an update.
Right. Today we want to basically sit you guys down and have some like RV real talk, more or less.
Yeah.
Really, we want to dispel some RVing myths and kind of show you guys realities versus expectations and really get down to what the biggest frustrations, what really pisses us off since we've been on the road in the last 6 months. Also, we want to talk about why we're doing it and why we're going to continue doing it. So let's jump right into it.
We are happy that you are here. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and welcome aboard.
Probably the biggest thing on our mind all the time, and on a lot of people's minds, is the money. How are we doing this? How are we affording to do this? How much does it actually cost? Going into it, we thought, I guess we expected that it wasn't going, we knew it was going to be tough, but we didn't expect it to be as tough as it is. And there's a lot of like, I guess blind spots that I in particular had that I just, things that I was not expecting until a few months in, and then I realized, okay, I guess that's just how it's going to be. And really what I'm talking about, for instance, is like finding places to stay. That's the biggest, probably the biggest, one of the biggest challenges we have, both money-wise and just finding a place. Depending on the time of year and the state that you're in, everywhere's booked up. And all the campgrounds, the RV parks, everybody, whether it's state campgrounds, federal, they're all booked. And everybody raises their rates also in these really busy seasons. So it leaves us to scramble around to find whatever's left, or, you know, continue calling places to try to get a cancellation or something like that. So that's obviously extremely frustrating. Also, a lot of parks, campgrounds especially, are guilty of this. State and federal campgrounds will offer camping on federal lands or in a park, but they won't have any hookups or anything. Nothing. Some of them don't even have dump stations, yet they still charge you $20, $30 or more dollars a night. It's crazy. So that's probably one of the biggest things that pisses me off. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, it's frustrating, and in some of these cases you actually have to pay to get into the place, and then you have to pay for a dry camping spot.
Right.
So you have to pay, you know, if you're not paying to get into the place, then you have to pay for a permit for your off-road vehicles. We saw that in South Dakota. So that's just kind of a bummer. Like, what are our tax dollars really paying for? So.
Right. Yeah, we pay, you know, state and federal taxes, and if you look at your pay stub, so if you look at that stuff, you can kind of see where some of the taxes are going. I think we've gotten to the point to where we don't, like, I personally don't believe that those taxes are even going to a lot of those places. Like roads, for instance, which I don't want to get too far off track. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But like we've drove over some of the crappiest roads, and I don't get it. And it's funny, toll roads usually are the worst roads of them all.
They're the absolute worst.
It's like you're getting taxed to pay for those roads, and you're getting tolled, and they still aren't upkeeping them. So where's all our money going, you know? It's crazy.
So we mentioned paying for access to some of the parks, which, you know, okay, and then you have to pay to get in so you can dry camp, okay, but then in some places we're noticing you have to pay for access to monuments.
Right.
And you may not have to pay for direct access or tickets to a monument, but we were just in a town the other day with a really beautiful Civil War monument, and there was no free parking anywhere near.
Yep.
There were no parking lots. There were parking signs that said, you know, tow away zone. The only parking spaces anywhere near this monument were metered.
Yep. And the only way we got around is we ended up parking in a church, which I don't think we were supposed to do that either. But we were only there for a few hours, and there was literally nowhere for an RV to even park. So I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with an RV sitting in a church parking lot for, you know, 2 or 3 hours while we go look at some monuments while driving through a town. But anyhow, yeah, she brings up a really good point. So a lot of cities are really guilty of this. They'll take historical parts of the city and they'll zone it off. They'll put fences or gates or whatever have you around it, and then charge you to go in there and see the historical part of the city. It's crazy. So one perfect example, when we went to New Orleans in Louisiana, New Orleans, there's all kinds of historical things everywhere, and a lot of it is you just walk in and walk out, but a lot of it isn't. Like their old graveyards that they have there are all walled off or fenced off. and you have to pay at the front of the graveyard to even walk in there. It's crazy.
And you don't even just have to pay. Like, I wouldn't mind giving a donation or possibly paying for entry, but they forced you to take a tour with a tour guide,
Yep.
and we're not all about the witchcraft stuff, so I don't care to pay for that kind of a tour guide. It's not my cup of tea, and I don't want to be forced to do it just to be able to go in.
Right, we just like to go in on our own and learn about things on our own. Now, we have noticed a lot of places do tours of things that are like self-tours, I guess, where you have like little audio buttons and stuff. We're fine with that. That's
I like
cool.
those.
That's at our own pace. But we don't want to be, you know, corralled in with like 30 or 40 other people cramming in everywhere and having to pay to do that and be on a very defined path. You know, we just want to go where we want to go. The fact that a lot of these historical places like that, especially in cities, are being walled off and then they charge you to go in there is just absolute nonsense to me. And if they don't charge you for it, they get you for parking in one way or another. We've found that probably 9 out of 10 cities charge for parking and have absolutely no free parking. It's insane. So no matter what, they're getting your money in one form or another.
Yep.
So that's been extremely frustrating for us.
And we're not asking for free. I know some people might be wondering, like, why are we complaining about that? We're not asking for free, but at the same time, it's everywhere. So it's a little out of hand.
Right.
What's next?
All right.
We made a list.
Yeah, we're just going down the list. Another thing that I don't know, maybe some people have foresight for, but we didn't account for as much as we should have, is like the difference in the cost of living from one state to the next.
Yep.
It's vast. You may be in one state where your stays, on average, even for full hookups, could be $20 to $30 a night. The next state, it'll be $40, $50. And then there are particular places in those states, obviously, like the tourist spots, the hot spots, they're even more than that. But it changes so much from state to state. And not just the cost of things, but the actual people change.
Yeah.
The traffic changes, the laws, even the layouts of the streets and stuff. A lot of states have medians everywhere. Everywhere. On every little street there's medians, so you have to constantly do U-turns. And then there's states where U-turns are illegal. So you gotta kind of know what you're going into before you get there. You could end up in a hard place. So that can be extremely frustrating. And the attitudes of people change a lot from state to state. Like, coming out of the South, they got this real kind of like homey, kind of hospitable attitude towards everybody there. They're real friendly. And as soon as you start coming up into the Midwest, that changes. That's where we're from, is the Midwest. We're more used to that. The Midwest is weird. It's kind of like a cross between that hospitality mentality and then a kind of real stubborn, standoffish kind of attitude. And then you go from there into the North, and in the central north of the U.S., everybody up there is pretty friendly.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start making your way east, that slowly deteriorates, and everybody kind of becomes
turds.
Yeah, I don't really. Everybody's in a real big rush. They're flying around everywhere they go, and when you're in an RV, you got to kind of take your time. I don't drive under the speed limit. I drive at the speed limit. But I got cars passing me, honking at me, flipping me off. I got cars flying around me in roundabouts, squealing their tires. Just insane. Since we've been out here on the East Coast, like, I don't understand. What's everybody in the big rush for? I mean, my goodness, man, living like there's no tomorrow.
For real.
I don't know, like, that's something else. Like, people change so much from state to state along with the traffic.
And that might not be, like, it's not a big deal. You know, we pretty well keep to ourselves, but at the same time, like, I don't know, you get out and you're interacting with people and they're just all in a rush and you're taking your time and they get huffy with you because maybe you're not walking fast enough. Or, you know, yesterday we were in downtown Portland and this woman was running with her dog and she just crossed the street instead of, like, letting us get over to let her go by. It's those little things are like, it's just weird. It's different for us, so be expectant of those kinds of things.
Right. So once again, just kind of, you know, you expect things to be one way, and then when you encounter it, it's totally different. So
you're going to get out on the road and you're going to start traveling and you're going to start staying in a lot of different places. We prefer to stay in state parks if we can, if they have hookups at least.
Most don't. Just so you know.
We're finding that out, yeah.
Just electric. Okay, so a lot of state grounds have electrical hookups, usually only 30 amps. Some have 50, but they almost never have sewer hookups. and it's spotty with water. Some have water at the site, some don't. Some have water scattered around the campground, some only have water at the dump station. But they almost always have electrical and a dump.
We found this, this is going to be a complaint. This is definitely a complaint of mine. You pull into a campground and they don't have a way for you to hook a standard water hose to their water spigot. So we found this neat little water bandit thing that you can stick on and kind of get around that.
Yep.
But that is really frustrating. You want to try, or you want to charge me for boondocking, and then you don't want to allow me to get water in your park. It's frustrating. So anyways, we're transitioning into the quality of RV parks and RV resorts, and sort of the quality of RVs. I think Nate wanted to touch on that a bit.
RVs are a pain in the ass. There's just really no other way to put it. So we wanted to get into an RV because we wanted to get away. Part of the reason was because we wanted to get away from the home and all our home and all our vehicles and all the maintenance involved with that. But when you get an RV, you have all that stuff anyway. And I should have known that. I kind of did expect that a little bit, but maybe not to the level that I've experienced since we've owned one. As soon as I fix something in the RV, usually I get a few days, sometimes a week or two, before the next thing breaks, and I have to fix that. And it's just a constant cycle. And on top of that, you have maintenance, like your regular maintenance type stuff, like, your oil changes, filters, all that stuff. You want to you're taking a home and you're taking a vehicle and you're combining them into one. And then if you're pulling a vehicle, you also have that to take care of as well. So I don't mind all that. What pisses me off is the quality of the RV itself.
The workmanship.
Right. How it was made, the materials used, how durable those materials are. That's where I have a problem. We paid a lot of money for this RV, nearly as much as what we paid for our home, right? And it is so cheaply made, it's unreal. Something else I just noticed as an example of this is our electronic steps that come down, which I've already fixed once. I had to fix the gearbox on them that went out. I fixed 3 different gearboxes in this already, and we've owned it a little over a year. Anyhow, that's a whole nother story. The steps are starting to lean in one direction, right? And when you're going to the RV, it's on the left side of the steps, which is where you're going to travel most of the time because your doors, you just naturally travel up the left side of the steps because the doors are in your way, right? When you're moving them. It started to tilt in that direction because of that. So I got under there to see if I could fix it. The way it's designed, they've screwed these steps into this like steel plate under there, right? Like a square plate. And the front corners of the steps are mounted on the corner of that plate. So what's happening is the weight over time being put on that side of the steps has caused the corner of this metal plate to slowly bend down, which is what's causing the steps to lean. Eventually that's probably going to snap, and that's going to be a costly repair. It's just a stupid design flaw. Why would you mount steps that are going to have to hold hundreds of pounds of people constantly moving in and out of an RV onto the corner of a little skinny sheet metal plate? Why would you do that? Why would you not either, design it differently to where that plate holds on to, a more sturdy part of the vehicle, or just do away with it altogether and redesign it? Like, it's crazy. And I find design flaws like that all the time in this thing. I could go on and on about all the different things.
It's fired up.
So yeah, it really gets me going when I see stuff like that. It's like, because I see it and I know, okay, well that's something else I'm going to have to fix. That's something else I'm going to have to fix. I'm going to have to redesign this. I'm going to have to redesign that. I have another video. I haven't put it out yet, but I plan to in the future. We've talked about it many times. Our back door to our back bathroom. When the slides are in, you cannot get in there. Well, our GFI for the entire motorhome is in that back bathroom. So if the slides are in, we're on the road, the GFI blows, if we're in a parking lot or whatever on the generator, we have to open our slides to get into the back door in order to do that. Well, I fixed it now. I took the door off the hinges and I put it on a track up above there, so now we can slide it out of the way and get in and out of there. But just another stupid design flaw. You find them all over RVs. That's the point I'm trying to drive home. You find these design flaws all over RVs. Be expected to run into those, and it can be extremely frustrating. So.
And that's not even, these are pre-designed, pre-built RVs. I can't imagine being in a schoolie where you've designed the whole thing yourself and what issues you're going to run into with that. So
Depending on the craftsman of the schoolie,
Yeah.
I mean, you could have made it perfect and you might not have any of those issues. But
So, along with the quality of RVs, we want to talk about the quality of RV parks. Now, we recently got Passport America in July when we were traveling through over the holiday, and we like to use it if we can because it is 50% off. One of my biggest complaints with Passport America are parks not allowing you to use it on certain days,
Yep.
not allowing you to use it during certain times. Holidays I can understand, but really on a Friday or Saturday night, especially when your park is empty. We ran into this in South Dakota. We were using Passport America, and this woman, she didn't want to honor it for any more than 2 nights. It didn't matter what day of the week it was, and her park was empty.
Yep.
You're losing money just so you don't have to give us half off.
Right.
We would have stayed there for another 4 or 5 days if we had the opportunity just to get caught up on life. But so right along with that are the quality of parks that come with Passport America. They are RV resorts, and they're just glorified trailer parks. We have found one in New York State that we liked, and it was a trailer type park, but it was so nice. Like, it was so upkept, and the people were super friendly. Other than that, all the rest of them that we stayed in are just trash.
They're parking spaces, more or less. They cram as many RVs into a small amount of space as they possibly can. They're really trying to maximize those profits for the space that they have rented out for wherever they're at. And we notice it more in places that are more popular versus places least popular. So, I mean, it makes sense. They're paying a higher amount of money to rent that property, probably. Or even if they own it, they're probably paying higher taxes to have that land. So they're trying to pinch as much money out of the people passing through there as they possibly can.
Yeah.
They're maximizing their profits. So, I mean, you can't hate on them for that. But at the same time, if you're going to charge $80 a night at RV resort, then by God, it better be a resort, not a parking spot where you're crammed in next to these other RVs where you can hardly have your slides out and have room to walk around.
And
it's crazy.
You walk out of your front door and you see a naked man across the way, like, with his gut is like 400 pounds and his RV is in shambles. Like, that's not a resort. And you need to be careful, and their websites are not going to show what the real, outlook of that place is. They're going to show the least amount possible and try to get you in that way. So just be cognizant. We are down to the positives. This video is not meant to just be negative. We really just want to outline the realities versus the expectations of going into RV life, and this, if you're looking at making this decision, what you're in for. Our top positive thing is that we get to spend more time together. It's our life on our time, our way. So,
yeah, and we get to see new places whenever we want. We can stay at a place for as least or as long as we want, given availability and how exactly how expensive it is being in that place. Sometimes we have to make it faster stops, if we're on a tighter budget for that given amount of time in that area. So, but yeah, it's wonderful being able to see this country, the history of this country, the beauty, the landmarks, whether they be natural or man-made, the monuments, all the war history. Seeing all that stuff firsthand, being there is...
it's overwhelming,
yeah,
honestly. It brings it into reality. It brings it into focus. What's really out there and what we don't, as Americans in most cases, don't take the time to go see.
Yeah, we love it. We just wish it wasn't so damn over-capitalized on. That is our biggest complaint.
Yeah. We're not anti-capitalists.
We aren't, but my goodness, man, there's a line.
There's a line.
There's a line. When
some places have gone over it.
When you're charging for every single thing that you do, like, there could be a historical landmark or monument inside of a state park, right? Well, the state park, to get there, first off, you're going to pay money to get the gas, obviously the gas, and then the stays to get there. And then you're going to pay probably tolls to get there on that road. And then when you get to that park, you're going to have to pay a fee at the entrance of the park. If you're camping in the park, you're going to have to pay for camping in the park. And a lot of times, they'll have the monument itself, there'll be a separate place you got to pay for. Or, like, the best views of the monument might cost extra to get out there on that platform. So it's like,
Yep.
Charge. You have 5 or 6 charges in order to get to your end goal. I mean, in the end, is it really worth it? Most of the time we think it is, but it gets ridiculous. And that's kind of the point we're trying to drive home mainly with this video, is like the amount of money you have to sink into being able to experience this country, and the way that we're experiencing it can get expensive. One other quick point I want to drive home is, like, RV life really is designed for weekend camping, or, you know, the 1-year vacation family. That's really what it's designed for. It's not designed for full-time living. Though we love doing it, and we love striving to make it work, the system, the way it's currently, the system's currently designed, is not designed for people like us. So it can be quite an obstacle, quite a challenge to make it work in our favor.
And that might change in 6 months down the road when we're out west, but as it stands right now in the east, it's hard, it's difficult, it's geared towards older people, couples. I mean, the same thing with RVs and how they're designed. They're designed for old bogeys that have retirement funds to spend. You know, I'm enjoying RV life. I'm enjoying being with these crazy family members of mine all the time. It doesn't bother me to be around them all the time like it might bother other people. The children do drive us crazy from time to time, and we do get very little privacy, but all in all, I can't complain. I'm not sending them to daycare. They're not always getting sick. I don't have to pay for public schools anymore. And yes, public schools do cost money. My tax dollars are just going to other things. So,
we just don't know what.
6 months in, we're still gonna keep going. You know, we haven't seen as much as we want to see just yet. So
no.
We'll have to see where we're at in another 3 months when we do a 9-month update, and then at 12 months we'll be out west. So I guess that's it for now. I hope this wasn't too negative. If you liked our video, or if you have anything that you'd like to add, please throw a comment down below. Give us a like, hit subscribe.
Yep.
We promise that we're friendly people.
If there's anything that anybody watching right now, there's anything you didn't agree with, or you did agree with, or you have a different take on, please comment on it. We would love to interact with you and get your take on it. So, thanks for stopping by, and
see you next week.
We'll see you next time.